Welcome to Wander Paws Down Under. I'm Dan.
And I'm Anita.
And together we're travelling around Australia with our dog Wally, our cat Paprika, our off-road Caravan, and our Toyota Hilux.
And we're here to bring you some pet travelling tips on the road to, well, this stop is the Northern Territory in Alice Springs.
Woo.
So Central Australia.
Yeah, we hit the red dirt.
We did. And it was my first time ever visiting Central Australia. Dan has actually been there in the past. So he was the one to lead the show on this occasion, which was really nice.
And nice to know I didn't really lead you too far astray.
No, I'm still here, so that's a good thing. And it was the first time, obviously, with pets. And as some people might know, Alice Springs or the nearby national parks can be quite difficult with pets. So we're here to explain to you how we managed to see pretty much everything that we wanted to see.
Yeah, and look, I must be honest, it was actually probably the most difficult place we've experienced thus far with the pets, just because of the national park issue. But we were able to get around it, and yeah, we can offer you some great tips about how we managed to get through it, and not only get through it, but enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So, first place where we stayed in Alice Springs was the National Road Transport Campground. And the reason we selected that was A, it was only 10 minutes south of Alice, but B, we were feeling a little bit cost conscious at that point, spent a little bit more money than we had wanted, having too much fun, and it was super cheap. I think it was like 10 or even $15 per night.
Yeah, it was super cheap. And look, it wasn't flash. There were a few prickles, so you got to watch out for your pets for their paws, because we did have to pick, I think, quite a few prickles off Wally's little coat, but we were all right. Their facilities are a little bit outdated, but they were super clean. So look, you get what you pay for. And we were fine with it. We were pretty happy, and it was not a problem for us.
Yeah, it felt very safe, because obviously Alice has had its fair share of media coverage for all the wrong reasons earlier this year, but there was no issue whatsoever. They do lock the gates at night, which was an important consideration.
The only other thing is that the mobile reception there was pretty poor, so I guess if you don't have Starlink, it might be an issue for you. It depends if you need it at that point in your trip.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if you are a train buff or you're into anything to do with trains or even trucks, I think, there's a really cool open-air museum that you can visit. You get discounted entry if you stay at the campgrounds. And if you're into that, that's the place for you.
Yeah, look, it was a nice little place, and we were happy with our choice based on the budget we were trying to keep to.
Yeah. So at the time, we were probably going even a little bit too fast for our liking. You know, looking back now, we probably went straight into the national parks without taking a few rest days, which we should have done for the pets' sake. But that's been and gone. And what do we do with the pets?
Yeah, look, when we were in Alice Springs, it was the Northern Territory's school holidays. So we didn't really factor in the fact that it might be hard to get a pet sitter. So we had to go and have a look at what other options were around. Now, we've never left our kids in a kennel before. So it was a little bit, just made us feel a bit uncomfortable having to do this. But we did find two options in Alice Springs. I think one is, I actually can't remember the other one, but it's
Paws and Claws?
Paws and Claws, that's right. That's very popular. It's got a lot of reviews. And then there's the Doghouse. And it didn't have as many reviews, but the reviews that it had were very good. So I couldn't get into Paws and Claws. I called up Belinda from the Doghouse, and she really put my mind at ease about leaving the pets there. She has actually been pet minding, running pet daycares and stuff like this for many, many years out of her own house for local people within the Alice Springs region. I think she branched out eventually and opened up this beautiful place called the Doghouse when the vet had sort of moved out of the building, and she was able to take it over. So look, we asked all the questions, and all of our questions were answered. They even provide a food service for raw foods and stuff like this. So that kind of made us feel like, yep, this person knows really, how to look after dogs. And thankfully, even though it's called the Dog House, it is also a cattery. So you can bring other pets there. So that was perfect for us. We didn't want to have to go to two different places. We didn't really want to separate the pets too much. I mean, they couldn't sleep in the same area, but we did have the option of putting them into the same care. We opted for 3 nights at the Doghouse. I won't lie, I was a basket case. It was all too much for me. I'd never done this before. I didn't like the idea of Wally being with other dogs, not knowing how they're going to get along. Paprika even more so, being with other cats. I know that cats are very territorial, so it can be a bit of a, scary thing to do if you've never done it before. But when we arrived, Belinda was actually there, the owner, and she really just made us feel like she really knew what she was doing, and we felt at ease. The place was really clean to look at. Look, we didn't go back and check out the kennels or anything like that, but it looked like it was pretty well run, and there was plenty of staff on hand.
It was a quick extraction. She basically just took Wally and went straight in, and there wasn't any time for sentimental goodbyes. But I think that's actually for the better, because then
So
you
that
know
the
the
pets
waterworks
don't
can
get-
start, and people get upset,
Yeah,
and
so
the pets
the
get
pets don't
attached.
get anxious and stuff like that. But we got really lucky when we were there. Apparently, there was no other cats in the building at the time, so Paprika actually got the whole entire day pen, which is the bigger, probably bigger than our caravan,
Yep.
space for himself. So that was immediately just made us feel better.
Not that he was very happy about it. Didn't make him feel much better.
No, I mean, you can't be that happy. I mean, being in a cage, especially Paprika, not knowing where he was, but it gave us a little bit of peace of mind that he was at least having somewhere he could run around. Not sure about Wally, but Wally usually gets along with other pets. So look, we put him in for 3 days, and we were able to, 3 nights, sorry. We were able to do everything that we needed to do in the West Max at that time.
Yeah, and Finke Gorge as well. So for the lowly price of $70 a day
It
for
was
both of
cheap,
them, yeah, we thought it was quite a bargain. Plus $10 a day for the caravan storage, because we decided to go a little bit off grid and away from our little home.
We didn't want to tow anything through the nasty roads at this point. We hadn't had much experience, so we thought we'll go swags.
Yeah, definitely. So the first place we went to was Finke Gorge National Park. And being a national park, obviously pets are not allowed. And I've got this really, really distinct memory burned into my mind from when my dad took me there it was 2004. So I was a little bit younger than now. And in particular, a place called Palm Valley. So Palm Valley is about 2 hours to the west of Alice Springs. There's a beautiful campground there with a solar shower. It's right on the bank of a beautiful little creek or river.
It's so beautiful.
No crocodiles, obviously being Central Australia. And best of all, you have access to these amazingly phenomenal walks with barely
yeah.
any people. And in particular, Palm Valley is known for its red cabbage palms, which are the only types of red cabbage palms found anywhere in the world. And Palm Valley is this isolated place that's been isolated for millions of years and has developed its own little microclimate, its own little vibe. And it was such a special place to go back there after so many years, show my beautiful wife what it's all about, and really just relax in a true oasis in the desert.
And this was my first Central Australia experience, so I was just blown away by the red rocks, the absolute mind-blowing beauty of this place. And just to have some adult time. So this is something that you don't think about, maybe you do on the road with pets, is you just don't really get to have, time together. And there's always a little bit of worry in your mind because you're kind of like, where are they and stuff like this. So to have some time, just us two being able to go out and explore, it was really, really needed by this point. I won't lie though, I think I might have mentioned multiple times on that hike that I hope the pets are doing okay. I hope the pets are doing okay. At this point, we hadn't activated our Starlink, and we actually didn't have any contact with the the kennels. So I think I drove multiple times to the tower that was like 7 kilometers down a corrugated road just to see if has anyone messaged me, maybe. And no messages are good, I guess that's a good thing, but I had to ease my mind and I texted Belinda at the doghouse, just want to check that the babies are okay, this is their first time, and she did reply to me within the same day just saying yep, everything's okay. And you know what, after that my mind was at ease. I felt okay because I felt like, you know what, she's replied to me quickly, so I know now, like when I do get in and out of reception, if I see a message, then she would have contacted me. So that put my mind at ease, and it made me able to enjoy the experience further with my beautiful husband.
Put me further at ease because she was at ease,
Yeah.
which is always important when you're traveling with a significant other.
I was scared for them, but they were totally fine at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I absolutely loved the part I loved about everywhere in Central Australia actually, but at this particular spot in Finke Gorge on these hikes, there was all the Aboriginal stories available to be read as you go into the hikes, and sometimes even placed at different significant spots. And I loved that. I love to hear a little bit about the culture, to understand the Dreamtime stories, and just to give you a little bit of a sense of meaning behind the places that you were in, and just kind of connect a little bit deeper to the land there.
Definitely lots of connection there. Yeah, it was very special.
It was beautiful.
So after that, we went to the West MacDonnell Ranges, and we hit quite a few spots in a couple of days that we were there. Gosses,
Gosses.
Ghost Point Crater,
Ghost Bluff.
Ghost Bluff Crater. Oh man, Ghost Point. Isn't that a movie or something?
I don't know.
Anyway.
We'll find out.
So it was an ancient meteorite crater that had hit quite a long time ago. I don't know how many millions of years ago, but it looked like it'd been there for a little while. Also a very special gathering place for the Aboriginal, the Arrente people, and in particular very, very abundant with different bush food and also kangaroos and lots of other wildlife. So that was a nice little drive in. We had the place to ourselves yet again.
Yeah,
Bit
and
of
it
a
was
pattern here.
that one was a strange one because some of the reviews that we had read like said, "Oh, it's not worth going there" or something like that. And every time that we've read something where someone's like, "Oh, it's not worth going there," me and Dan have walked in and we're like, "This is beautiful. Like, it's gorgeous. It's something different. Like, not everything has to be like some oasis in the desert or like, you know, waterfalls. Like, there was beauty in everything that we've seen in Central Australia, and this place was no exception.
Yeah,
It was gorgeous.
After Ghost Point, Ghost, I said it again.
Don't even
Ghost
say it
Bluff
ever again.
Crater. We went to Redbank Gorge, had a nice little hike along a dry riverbed till we got to the gorge. I don't recall that being a swimming one, but Ormiston Gorge, which was the next one up,
Is that the big
definitely
one?
was. Yeah, that was the big one.
So there's even a cafe there, which is kind of cool for the people that have a good budget. Actually, we did buy something there.
We bought some lunch.
We bought some
Yep.
Turkish sandwiches or something like that. Like,
And it
you
was
know,
local Indigenous business as
Yeah,
well, so
it
it was nice
was.
to give back a little bit to
Yeah.
the economy.
it was nice. And the sandwich was actually really good. I think we got a vegetarian one with like sun-dried tomatoes and all of the things that you don't think you would get in the middle of Central Australia, but it was absolutely delicious. Everyone was drinking coffee, so the coffee must have been good. And the swimming was divine.
Yeah,
It
a
was
little
beautiful.
bit cold, but the days were fairly warm, so it kind of evened out a little bit.
Yeah.
The best part about visiting the West Macs is their accessibility to Alice Springs and the fact that they're all pretty much off a bitumen road. So after being in Finke Gorge, which is definitely not a bitumen road,
No.
it was nice to hit the blacktop again and put our mind at ease because, you know, we're still fairly new to this. We're still just testing out a lot of our gear. We don't know the full capabilities of our car, even though it is a very capable thing, as we've come to know. But yeah, it was nice to sort of just go in there, enjoy, and then move on to Standley Chasm, which
Another
was a
beautiful
really
place.
special place, especially for women's business.
It's privately owned, I think, so you do have to pay a fee to go in. And there's a sunset walk, which unfortunately we weren't able to do at that time. But the walk into the chasm is just absolutely stunning. Definitely worth going. Again, there's a cafe, kiosk, so you can spend a lot of time there. There's barbecues and picnic areas.
Little campground as well.
Campgrounds, yeah. For us, it wasn't ideal at the time to camp there, but we camped somewhere else after that. But it was just stunning, like absolutely beautiful. This is like an orange rock and a beautiful little water pool. Again, not allowed to swim because the Aboriginal people ask you not to swim in this space because it's a sacred spot for women's business. But it was absolutely beautiful. We actually got that alone again.
Yeah.
We were so lucky that we got that on our own.
Good tip to do that. If you go early in the morning or really late in the afternoon,
Yeah.
even on school holidays, you can still find places alone. And that's something that we've actually adopted throughout our trip. And we've
Yeah.
been really, really lucky, even further at Uluru, which we'll talk about at a different episode, and the Olgas. Yeah, early and late, as long as you can obviously make it home before the sun goes down,
Yeah.
that's the way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
So, we came back, and how good did it feel to see our babies again?
Oh gosh, it felt so good. I was in tears again. I felt like the pets would never forgive us.
I don't know if Paprika has. It was pretty miserable.
Yeah, Paprika was really upset. Like, and don't get me wrong, like nothing bad had happened to him, but being a cat, being in an unfamiliar sort of area, I don't think he thought we were coming back because Paprika's history is he has been dropped off to a rescue place before. They were actually going to put him down, but thankfully the driver really had an attachment to him and said, please try and find this cat a home. So when we had found him, he'd been at multiple pet stores where no one had picked him up, and I think he was kind of on his last like chance when
looked
we
pretty
found
ragged.
him. He was very underweight. The people were looking after him at the pet store, but you know, they had him in a big cage, like kind of what we had dropped him off into. And when he came to us, you know, that many years ago, how long has it been now?
5 years?
5 years ago, you know, he was a little runty, skinny, anorexic, very scared little cat. So I feel like that's probably why for him it was a little bit more of a uncomfortable experience. But the best part about it was the minute he heard Daniel's and my voices, he just started going meow, meow. It was like the most beautiful thing. They were saying that he hadn't really come out of his area, that they had been feeding him, but he's been choosing not to eat too much. So he was quite scared, not because of the place that he was in. The doghouse did a great job. They came and checked on him. They even let us know that he was doing okay. But when he heard our voice, it was like he came out all of a sudden from the little kind of tubey thing he'd been hiding in, and he was so happy to see us. I think we even have a little video of when we picked him up.
Yeah.
And Wally, of course, he was happy to see us. He ran out and bolted out to see us. So it was really nice. Look, things do happen in kennels that you might not get with a pet sitter. Wally did have a little dog attack him. So he had a bit of a bite on his ear, but it was nothing that we couldn't fix with a bit of antiseptic cream. The people at the doghouse were very open and honest with us about what happened, and again, I don't fault the doghouse. They were really, really accommodating. They're good people. They look after the pets and they check on the pets at all times.
They even have their own line of fresh foods that they can give. So you can either bring your own food for the pets, or you can opt to pay a little bit extra and they'll give you their food. Yeah.
Look, it's not something that we want to do regularly on our trip, and it would not always be our first option. But when you have limited options, it was a very good one. And we're really, really happy with how the doghouse handled our pets.
Definitely. So where did we stay after that? The
Well, we
tourist
had
park?
the pets with us, so we thought that we probably should give them a couple of days. Sorry, that the dog just shook the camera. He's walking around. We thought we should give a couple of days of rest for not only us, but especially for the pets, because we thought that it'll take a couple of days to adjust. We don't want to be driving around immediately. So we stayed at the Alice Springs Tourist Park, which was really pet-friendly, accommodating, lovely people. They didn't mind us having Wally and Paprika, and I'm pretty sure Paprika was wandering around the tourist park.
He loved it. Found a new lease on life, and we really enjoyed staying at this park. It was fairly reasonably priced. I think the usual around the $40 mark.
It's the same place that we stored our caravan, actually. So we had stored our caravan there while we were away, I think for $10, and then we decided that it was just easier to stay there. So that was awesome. It made it easy for us.
Nice, cool shaded spots. Very chatty neighbours. You know, everyone's just very, very willing to have a chat with you, whether you're doing the laundry, whether you're just walking outside. Oh, going for a walk, eh? Yes, we are. Doing some laundry, eh? Absolutely. That is what we are doing. I love getting narrated about my day-to-day life
Going to
things.
the toilet's my funniest one.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love being told that I'm going to the toilet when I'm going to the toilet.
We sound like horrible people.
But it's okay. Look, to be honest, it's fine. We had neighbours that loved to play with Wally, and we can't fault them on that. That was awesome. It was really nice of them to visit Wally and play the football with him, which was fun. We had no bad interactions, really, with the pets. They were having a great time.
Yeah, it was all very good. And across the road, it was the Arts Centre, and we happened to be there on the same weekend as the Beanie Festival that was on.
Yeah,
so apparently
which is a quirky little thing.
Yeah, it's quite an iconic festival. They have people from all around Australia that make and knit beanies. And then beanies. And then all the beanies are
We are talking about beanies, like, you know, that you put on your head.
Yes, those beanies. So the beanies are all laid out on tables. You can purchase them, and there's some really, really funky ones that are made. Cool. Probably not so much for practical wearing, because it's like tree houses and all sorts of different strange things. But it was very interesting to.
It was really cool
to try them on and have a bit of fun with some live music. Some
and we were
nice
there
food.
in winter, and it was cold at night time, so a lot of people were wearing these really quirky beanies, and there was even artists playing there from Melbourne. And yeah, it's like an art centre, so there's things going on there all the time. So it is a good location to be at the Alice Springs Tourist Park if you want to do anything that's in that art centre. So maybe you're there for a festival. Sometimes they show movies. There's art galleries. So yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and overall, you know, like I mentioned before, Alice Springs has had its fair share of media coverage. We felt very safe in Alice Springs. We had zero incidents to speak of whatsoever. We walked around the streets during the day and at night. So, yeah, I mean, I spoke to the barber that did my hair at the time, and they said that, you know, it was a little bit of media blow-up, as the media sometimes tends to do. But in our experience, it definitely did not did not make us feel unsafe, and we felt completely at ease when we were there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in any town there can be thefts and things like that, so you always just have to take your normal precautions. But we never really felt under any sort of threat at all.
Yeah. So after our rest and recoup and reconnection with the pets, we moved on to the East MacDonnell Ranges. And I think Wally probably thought that we were going to leave him behind, so he kept by our side the entire time when we were loading up the car and caravan. Thankfully, we didn't have to leave him behind because we got to a place about an hour east of Alice Springs called Ross River Resort.
Which is dog friendly.
Yes. Good little road in. It's pretty much, no, it is all bitumen on the way in there.
Yeah.
And it's a fairly historical homestead. Sometimes they do even hold music festivals there. But yeah, it's a nice little campground. I think there's pretty much all unpowered sites from memory. And you can pick shady spots, you can pick sunny spots. There's nice communal fire pits, good facilities. I think you could even have some lunch at the homestead and some drinks.
They have a bar, so in Alice Springs it's not that easy to buy alcohol if that's what you're into. But they did actually serve it. It was for a premium price, but you can actually get a drink there, which is cool. And plenty of dog-friendly hiking. Well, to be honest, it's one dog-friendly hiking area, but it's huge. So we are just before you get to a major national park, but pretty much from Ross River Resort all the way through the gorge, which is absolutely stunning, by the way. It is hot, though. Hot and dry.
Even in winter.
Even in winter. So, you got to kind of pick your time and day. But it's literally the whole entire, however, I think... Oh, it's so far. I think it's like 15 kilometres or something.
It's quite a hike.
Yeah, so there's like heaps and heaps of walking room before you get to the national park, and it's all kind of different terrains. It's kind of a sandy old riverbed. Some of it's rocky. There's beautiful like rock. What is it called? Like, I don't know what they're called, but the rocks are beautiful.
Stacked rock formations, hills. I
don't
don't know.
know.
My English is as good as yours. I'm melting in this heat.
I think you and Wally went for a little bit of a rock climb even.
We did,
It's actually quite beautiful. But it was getting hot, so by the time you get a certain level, you go, oh, far out, I got to walk back.
Were you about to swear?
I was. But you were like, oh, I got to walk back. That's when you kind of know you've gone too far, and then you start going backwards. But even just around the Ross River campsite, Paprika was wandering around, rolling around. There are dingoes in the area. We didn't see any while we were there. But yeah, I liked it.
Good spot, and a really good spot in particular to explore the two national parks, which are fairly adjacent to the Ross River Resort. So the first one was Finke Gorge National Park. That's only 12 k's away from Ross River, down an unsealed road. Not too hectic. Didn't even need to put it into low range.
We were able to just leave the pets behind, hey?
Yeah, it was still cool mornings at that stage. So we were able to leave the pets for a couple of hours. Because being a national park, you obviously can't take them in. So the hike there was about 1.6 k's return. And this place, again, we had to ourselves, which was very special.
So pretty.
And it felt all the more special because there were ancient petroglyphs.
Yeah.
So the Aboriginal people had carved stories into the rock, and some of these petroglyphs had been carbon dated to between 3,000 and 10,000 years, as being 10,000 years old, which is really, really stunning. Beautiful rock faces, rock pools and caves. Yeah, really lovely area to explore.
It was beautiful, yeah.
Where else did we go?
Trephina Gorge.
Yeah, Trephina. Good spot.
Trephina was about 19 kilometres from Ross River Resort, mostly sealed road in. On the way in, I'm a gum tree lover. There was a massive ghost gum. I think it was dated like a couple of 100 years old. So for me, that was just one of my little moments because I absolutely love gum trees.
Back at home, she's got a tree at our local park where every time we'd walk Wally, she'd go and hug the tree and talk to it. And being in Melbourne, people don't really think you're that weird for doing stuff like that because especially the inner north side of Melbourne, people are a little bit quirky. But yeah, it was nice to see you reconnect with another tree on that level.
Yeah. Don't tell everyone. No, it's true. I absolutely love trees. I'm a tree hugger and I was so happy to be around this ancient spirit. I absolutely loved it. It was beautiful. But then the actual gorge itself was equally, if not more, beautiful.
Yeah, 4K return walk, quite exposed in parts, so definitely try and do that one earlier in the day as we did. Stunning scenery though.
Oh my gosh,
we had
beautiful.
Wildflowers, we had views in all directions of the various gorges and wildlife and
It was
nice.
Beautiful. I think we did 2 hikes. Is that the one that we did two hikes?
Yeah, we joined 2 hikes.
Yeah, like we did, there's like two longer hikes. One's like 4 kilometers and one's 5 kilometers, I think. So we did like, what was the first one called? You can't even remember, can you? Nah. One was like a panorama one. So like you go up and you see like the gorge from the top, and another one was like kind of like a peak and down. Either way, there's two. We got suggested actually as we were walking in by 2 other people who had just done the hike. Sorry, I keep hitting things today. I'm like, flicking my hands around. So another couple that had just done the 2 hikes, and they said do both of them. And we're glad we did, because it was completely different scenery on both sides. So if you do go, have a little look around. If you can handle doing 2 hikes, it's worth it. It was absolutely stunning. And then we didn't have to come back. So for us, it was like we could kill 2 birds with one stone. It wasn't too much hiking where we were exhausted. You might have got a little bit grumpy by the end of it, but that was more because it was starting to get a bit like tiring after doing so much hiking in Central Australia. We were fit as like later down the track we're not so fit, but at that point we were super duper fit doing hiking every single day. But we were tired too.
Yeah, and it sort of ushered in another lesson learned for us, and that was to just continually slow down and don't try and do things each and every day, because the temptation is there. There's so much to see. Obviously for a lot of people money's a consideration, so they want to try and pack in as much as they can, you know, within a small space of time, but it does catch up with you, and it did catch up with me at the East Max. So yeah, I may have gotten a little bit grumpy, but coming home to our babies in the late morning in the caravan and seeing them was enough to turn the mood a bit.
There's something that lightens your mood when we went to the Alice Springs Brewery. I just remembered we actually forgot a caravan park. I forgot what it's called, so I'm going to have to find out and look that one up. But we stayed at a beautiful caravan park right next to the Alice Springs Brewery.
You're looking up a phone that doesn't have internet.
Oh, okay.
Or does
well, maybe it doesn't. What was the caravan park called? I'll leave it in the comments, but there was a caravan park that we stayed on the way out of Ross River Resort, which actually had an off-leash fenced area for small dogs and big dogs. Awesome. For people that haven't been able to run their dogs around and have maybe dogs that aren't so good socially, you were able to stay there. We were in like a little nature spot with beautiful gum trees. It felt like we were wild camping, but they actually had an off-leash section for dogs, which was awesome. But the best part about it is it was right next to the Alice Springs Brewery, and they were our favourite beers thus far of the trip. We loved the Alice Springs Brewery. It was so delicious.
Every single beer on the tasting paddle.
Take away.
Yeah, every single beer was amazing. And we don't generally do things like IPAs and XPAs as much, but hands down, the best beer we could find.
And there was music. Someone was singing there.
Good pizza.
It was dog friendly. There was multiple doggies there. And the pizza was delicious. I think they even did cocktails like specials. We had cocktails. Yeah. That was our first time that we had cocktails because we were still on budget at that point. We had cocktails, but they had like a $15 special with like their pink in-house lemonade that they make there. And it was good. Definitely a stopover. Sunday sessions, amazing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of Alice Springs, but we were deciding to do the drive out of Alice Springs and on our way to Kings Canyon.
Yeah, and we'd heard about a place called Redbank Waterhole, which was probably about an hour to an hour and a half southwest of Alice Springs, 73 k's. Sealed road along the Stuart Highway. You get to a turn off, and then it's maybe 3 or 4 k's down a dirt road. Nothing too hectic. You can get in even with a soft road or 4-wheel drive. But again, we were the only people there.
Yes.
What a feeling.
Yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. There was water for a start that the dog could swim in. That was like the best, because Wally has not had a swim at this point for a long time. It's been hot weather, and he was able to go running around swimming. We went on a massive hike there. Paprika even got out of the caravan and multiple times. I think we stayed for 4 nights. I think it's only $10 per person or $10 a night. And literally, Paprika was so happy to be there. I don't know why he loved this place so much, but we all did. But he started running and like chasing Wally down by the waterhole and everything. Like, it was so funny. Like, the pets were loving life there. Absolutely loving life. We just felt like completely at home. We set up like our full setup with our outdoor area and everything. We were literally just sitting on the couch, sinking Alice Springs Brewery beers. In
between the yoga and the ropes workouts that we were doing.
And a couple of our content uploads.
Like I said, we're strange people.
It was nice. It was so nice. And to go somewhere in nature, in Central Australia, with your dog, where they can swim, all the boxes are ticked. ticks?
Ticks.
No boxes
no
of
ticks.
ticks.
No ticks. Actually, there weren't that many insects there, and
Yeah, it was
what
okay.
insects were there were quickly scared away because you could have fires, which
Yeah.
we're finding out now as we go. Fires are not always a given, even when you're nature camping,
Yeah.
because of the sort of country that you're in, especially in Central Australia and even on the coastline. It's not always possible to do a fire. So
Yeah.
when you can do a fire and you can cook up those snags, those steaks on there, it's really just adds a nice extra special feel.
It was awesome. There are other places along, just outside of Alice Springs, probably on the west side mostly, where you can take the dog. But we tried a couple of them and they were really, really rough riverbeds that you had to drive through. And just knowing that there was wild dogs and dingoes and stuff, like, we just didn't feel very comfortable in some of them. So you can find other places. Just do whatever's within your capacity. So there are places that you can take the dog, but where we found was literally the best place that we've ever been to in Central Australia with our pets was Redbank Waterhole.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Fantastic. And also, it's within the Owen Springs Nature Reserve, which
Yeah.
is a national park, but Redbank, don't be scared off, because Redbank Waterhole is sort of like within that, but also allows dogs. So it's all above board. No need to sneak
Yeah.
around. Book away on the Northern Territory Parks website.
And some people were
and
even
off you go.
swimming there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It depends on the water levels. So there hadn't been rains for a few months, and
Yeah.
although the desert was pretty green and blooming, especially compared to when I was there in 2004, for me personally, I wasn't that into swimming in the water.
We weren't ready for it just then.
Yeah, but, each to their own.
But yeah, that's kind of a wrap.
Yeah, so next episode, we're going to bring you what we got up to around the not Alice Springs, the Uluru and the Olgas areas, and also, what's the other one?
What?
Kings Canyon.
Oh, I've literally gone blank. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
the heat is starting to affect us. It's no longer feels like winter where we are now. So the
Yeah.
brain's working at about 60% capacity and falling. So excuse our little moment. But yeah, next
We'll
time
come to you from Uluru.
we'll come to you from Uluru.
Katachuta. Is that what you meant?
That's it,
Katachuta.
Katachuta. Thanks for watching. As always, leave us a comment. Let us know what you enjoyed, what you didn't enjoy, what you'd like to hear and see more of. We'd love to hear your feedback and any questions that you may have.
Thank you. And we'll speak to you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye.